mics with the buttons.
Oh,
So you can only have 3 mics on at a time,
well, that's
4 including the chair. So your mic can be on plus 3 people. So we just need to
Let's see.
start remind people that
Figure this stuff out
turn
here.
your mics off. So that way we can make sure everyone can talk and get help. Here's the extension page. I know we can't set it to make a motion. We know we can make a motion. But.
Yes, ma'am.
These are the. Have the mic control. You'll press that.
As soon as Chairman Crow is seated, we will begin. We do call this meeting to order. The Joint Subcommittee of Government Operations on Commerce, Labor, Transportation, and Agriculture is hereby in effect, and this is August 20th, 2025. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Senator Crow is here. Senator Hatcher. Senator Kyle. Senator Oliver is here. Senator Seal. Chair Lady Bowling.
Present.
Chair Lady Bowling, you do not have quorum in the Senate.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Would you please call the House roll?
Representative Camper.
Well, it's, Representative Hardaway, sorry.
Oh,
Yes.
Representative Hardaway.
Here.
Representative Fritz.
Here.
Representative Sherrill.
Here.
Representative Towns. Chairman Reedy.
Here.
Chair Lady Bowling, you have quorum in the House.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Before we start the subcommittee, or as we start the subcommittee, I would please ask Representative Monty Fritz to open us with a prayer and pledge. And would everyone please stand?
Pray with me, please. Heavenly Father, we come to you thanking you for the great state of Tennessee and thanking you for us being able to live here. Whether we were born here or we moved here, God, we thank you for you abundantly bless this place. We pray, God, for your wisdom and discernment as we conduct people's business today. We pray, God, for a spirit of consideration of one another and love for one another and a commitment to the duty that you have placed on us to be public servants. We pray all these things in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Attention. Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we can just remind members about the mics.
Yes. Thank you, Representative Fritz. And before we officially begin, are there any other announcements or personal orders? Seeing none, we will begin with this hearing. And housekeeping rules before we start: when you're recognized, please turn your mic on. These are those horrible, terrible mics that we don't like. And then turn them off until you're recognized again. So I do appreciate that little housekeeping. Right now, we want to welcome the Department of Labor and Workforce Development. If you would come forward, and the auditors who were in charge of that audit. I believe that is Chelsea Bell, the legislative senior auditor. And we have Commissioner Thomas. So, pardon? Okay. As we begin, would you just introduce yourselves, please?
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Chelsea Bell. I'm a legislative senior auditor in the Comptroller's Office, Division of State Audit. I'm here today to present the results of the 2025 performance audit of the Department of Labor and Workforce Development. Before I get started, I would like to thank the department for their cooperation, professionalism, and timely assistance during our audit.
All right, you to introduce yourself, please.
My name is Taylor Fritz, and I'm also a legislative senior auditor accompanying Chelsea.
Thank you very much. And would you please introduce yourself, Commissioner?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Commissioner Denise Thomas with the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development.
And right now, I think we're about to have one of the longest audit reports that we've had in a while. So if you would proceed.
The department's mission is to advance workforce development and improve workplace safety. With the department's mission in mind, we audited workforce development and public safety, which included the inspections of boilers and pressure vessels, revenue collection for inspections, permits, and labor law violations, and the unemployment insurance program. We audited the Department of Labor and Workforce Development for the period of September 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2025. In the current audit, we followed up on 4 prior findings and verified each had been fully resolved. Additionally, for the specific areas we audited, which we discussed earlier, we identified no findings or observations. We would like to thank the department again for their assistance in the audit. We would also like to thank the chair and members of the committee for their time and consideration. This concludes our presentation of the 2025 Performance Audit Report for the Department of Labor and Workforce Development. We are available for any questions.
Are there any questions from the committee? Representative Fritz, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair Lady. I appreciate you all today. I have a few questions, if you would bear with me. The first one is on page 9 of the report, and it refers to the $1.35 million for the work, but management ultimately decided to discontinue the project because the vendor was unable to deliver. Is there a recourse or recouping of those dollars possible? And if so, has that been pursued?
I will actually give that over to the department to answer.
I'd ask our CFO to join us to provide a response.
Hello, Andy Summer, Chief Financial Officer. Yes, sir, that was in 2017, right? So
Yes.
it's 8 years ago, prior
Yes, sir.
administration. So we had to do some digging on that. Yes, we were able to utilize that funding with the new project because a lot of what we paid for with that was the design and the analysis phases of that project with our prior vendor. So we were able to leverage those business requirements for the new project that we had, that we just finished.
Yes.
So we did gain value from that.
We gained
1.35.
value
Thank you so
from-
much.
yes.
Thank you so much. Madam Chair, could I go to a couple other quick questions?
Very. Just one moment, please. I didn't anticipate any questions, and I just want to ask the Commissioner Thomas if you have any comments regarding the overall audit.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning again, members of the committee. I want to take the time before I get into my comments just to thank Comptroller Munpower and his entire team with their professionalism and their approach to the audit. We found it both helpful and encouraging for us to keep going as a department, so thank you. And also to members of the committee, we appreciate your diligence in ensuring that we perform on behalf of Tennesseans with efficiency and with operational excellence. It certainly caused us to go back and take a really introspective look at how things are being done within the department. And as you heard from Chelsea, that there were no findings and observations. But however, the department is not resting on their laurels. We understand that in order to continue to provide optimal service to Tennesseans, we must have a culture of continuous improvement, and we have certainly devoted a lot of time and attention to that. The department has also worked diligently to improve efficiency and internal processes revolving around our cash receipting, including working with Department of Revenue to learn from them to make sure our cash collection and our fee collection is seamless. So we will learn from other agencies as opportunities allow. And also, despite the growth in boiler and pressure vessels across our state, we're proud that we have stayed within our delinquency rates. As you know, Tennessee is experiencing record growth. There is a rapid increase of pressure vessels, but our inspectors have managed to keep delinquency within the desired rate. Also, I don't need to tell any members of the committee about our shortcomings in unemployment insurance. We understand that your phones rang continuously during the pandemic. We certainly have learned from that. And with the release of our new benefit system in February of 2024 and subsequent our new tax system in May of 2025, we were able to launch both systems with minimal impact. They have gone over quite well. Our response from both the claimants have been overwhelmingly positive, along with employers as well. We have met first pay timeliness, which is our federal measure by which we are to get benefits in the hands of Tennesseans with 21 days or less. We are on pace to meet that for a year. In 11 days, it will be a year. We have not met that metric in many years. We have also passed all of our quality checks that are associated with unemployment insurance. The team informed me this morning that we have not met all of those checks in 28 years. So we're proud that some of the work that we've been doing has led to greater efficiencies. And lastly, I'll just say, on the workforce development side, we continue to partner to make sure that we are providing opportunities for all Tennesseans. We've served well over 5,000 youth and getting work-based opportunities. We continue to look for opportunities to meet people right where they are. We believe that everybody who can should work, and we are doing community-based services to make sure that that happens. And so we certainly lean on and appreciate the support from the General Assembly to make sure we have funding that we can broaden our workforce development efforts. And with that, I will yield. Thank you for allowing me to make comments.
Are there any comments or questions there? I'm going to go back to Monty Fritz, Representative Monty Fritz.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and congratulations on those achievements. Tremendous. Thank you so much. Just a couple questions. Page 20, we talk about the mission of the department to advance workforce development and improve workplace safety. It's something near and dear to me, having led workforces in the past. I appreciate your work on that. What do you think is the most important metric measurement that we use for the improving workplace safety, and what contributions do you think the state, how can we help employers get employees home sweaty but healthy every evening?
I think the obvious metric is making sure that when people leave to go to work, that they return home. That's the first metric, is making sure that we can lower workplace fatalities, amputations, and accidents. I think one of the most important contributing factors to that is our approach now to more consultation. We want the department to absolutely lean into workplace safety, but we don't want to be punitive. We want to actually work with businesses to find ways that they can improve safety, but in a way that it makes sense for the business and to their workforce as well. So we put continuing efforts into expanding consultation services to help businesses know that we're here to partner with them, not to catch them doing something wrong. And so we think that forward approach will continue to help us drive those numbers down in our state.
One more.
Thank you for your leadership on that. My last question, how many boiler inspections do we do in the state, and what is the backlog?
So currently, for our boiler inspectors, our current delinquency rate is 1.27. If you remember, this was 8% prior. So we work very hard to do that. I don't have the number in front of me on inspections, but I can get that. I'm looking at Ken, if you want to come forward and answer that question. I'll also say for our inspectors, part of our issue was being able to attract and retain qualified inspectors. We have launched our own apprenticeship program in our agency, that we now have an apprenticeship program both for boilers and for elevator inspectors, which has helped us attract new talent, new young talent that we believe will be with the agency for years to come. And Ken, if you'll introduce yourself and if you can speak to the number of boiler inspections.
Good morning, Kenneth Neely, Assistant Administrator, Workplace Regulation Compliance Division. And your question was about the number of boiler inspections that we do.
Yes, sir.
We're responsible for over 24,962 boilers and pressure vessels. Insurance companies are responsible for about 52,000. So we'll do some of their annual, biannual. So we'll do roughly 17,000, 18,000 inspections a year.
Wow.
Boilers and pressure vessels.
Madam Chair, I'll just close with this. Thank you so much for those of us that have worked around steam and pressure vessels and understand the hazards. Your work is so valuable to Tennessee families. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Chairman Crow, you're recognized.
Thank you. I just want to thank them and great job, by the way, on all the audit for both the department and comptroller. Appreciate you guys, what you do. We had tremendous floods and damage up our way, and people forget what truly that was like. I mean, you hear someone lost their home, but up our way, they not only lost their home, they lost their land because it's now part of the river, and then they realized they lost their car or their tractors or whatever, and then they try to go to work if they can get a ride because they don't have a car, and they realize their business washed away, so they don't have a job. And you guys were so good at helping us with people that needed help because they couldn't work and then had to, getting back to work. And so we appreciate that. And it's so devastating that people don't realize that those people that lost their homes, they're still paying mortgages on land and property they don't have.
Mm-hmm.
and car payments on cars they don't have and tractors and those kind of things. Some of the banks are coming through and being really good to say, we realize, we have to help you. So if you have any contacts with any of the bankers, you might talk to them members, and I know the department's trying to help too. So thank you. You guys were great, and don't know what we would have done without you, but thank you.
Thank you, Senator Crow, for your support.
Senator Oliver.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have just a few technical questions just because I want to understand how the benefit system works here. I'm reading here that the unemployment insurance benefits management system was overhauled recently. Is that correct?
Yes, we launched a new benefit system February of 2024.
Does that system also is used for the user, the client? Do they use that same system to receive benefits as the employer?
Yes, so they file in that system, and employers also have access to that system.
Gotcha. So one of my questions is related to a constituent that recently reached out. As we're seeing some of the federal cuts happen, one of the constituents was a Vanderbilt employee that recently experienced a layoff due to the federal cuts. He also had some unemployment benefits back in 2021 and now can't get into the current system. Would it be due to just a new overhaul of the system and they need to re-up their account management system, the account that they need to get into?
Yes, and we'll be happy to talk to you offline to help them with the new system launching. Obviously, security is very important to us. So being access the system with a new password, they'll need to reach out to the department perhaps to get some assistance to do that. And we're happy to contact our office to make sure we can walk them through that process.
Great. So zooming out just a little bit, can you maybe talk about the readiness of the system now that we might be seeing more of an influx of employment claims due to federal cuts?
Yeah, and so thank you for your question, Senator Oliver. I think the difference primarily between the system we have now and the system we had before was what we've really learned and what Tennesseans really need, and the responsiveness, a system that is very intuitive and interactive. This time, before we launched the system, we tested it with the stakeholders, employers, claimants, and other people that had an interest in the system. We didn't just keep it insular to our department. Doing that, you really cut out the intelligence you can gather from the people that are going to interact with it more than you do, quite frankly. So we took the time to really learn from them, have people to test it out, break it, if you will, to find out where those shortcomings were. We collected all of that intelligence and we put it into the system to make sure that it was stakeholder tested and approved before we launched. I think that has made a primary difference. We learn from our customers, even when they yell at us, it's a learning experience. And so we made sure that we heard them, and then that was duplicated inside the system. So it's a much faster system. It's much more intuitive, and it has cut out steps tremendously. On the average, the old system, it took about 45 minutes on average for someone to apply for benefits. It's now roughly 15 minutes or less. And so that's the improvement that we're seeing.
Wonderful. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to commend you and all of your team and the Comptroller's Office for the work that you've done to really make all of these efficiencies in the department. So great job.
Thank you.
And I believe that Representative Monty Fritz has one last question.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is the last. It's so having been a long-time nuclear worker and knowing that we have lots of exposures to different chemicals and so forth, and the U.S. Department of Labor and many of my constituents have met exposures, et cetera. And this is not so much looking for an answer necessarily here, but is there more that we can do to help those employees that are in high-risk industries to ensure that not only they go home safe each day, but to decrease those exposures to things that are bringing on debilitating conditions in their older years? And any answer you'd have, I would appreciate that. And if we need to talk later, that'd be great.
Representative Fritz, we'd be happy to talk to you offline. I think it's important for me to talk to our safety experts. I know many of them are involved in conversations and training both at the federal level as well as the state level, and we certainly will go back and talk to them and maybe set up some time to speak with you offline.
Thank you. Representative Hardaway, you're recognized.
Thank you, ma'am, and good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, sir.
The $61 million in the American Rescue System, whatever, how much of that is at risk of being returned? Can they claw that back at without notice, any parts of it?
Andy, will you take that?
Andy Summer, Chief Financial
Let me
Officer.
give you the second part, and if so, what's your plan?
Sure, we're on pace to expend all those funds. Right now, we're at about 54 million total. We have till December 31st, 2026 to expend the rest of those funds. And we have post-implementation costs that we'll still be able to use for the system to expend all those funds and not return any ARPA funding.
Okay. And on your adult education, your relationships with TCAT, with the community colleges, and with the reentry programs. On the way over here this morning, Lady Chair, I had a call from a grandmother who was concerned about her son because he had taken a security job because he couldn't get into training, educational programs, couldn't get hired, anything else. He's an unarmed security guard, but the area and the type of work he's doing, he gets shot at, and he got shot last night, night before last. And so that was fresh on my mind, Madam Chair, and I'd like to know what our department is doing in concert. Are you in lead? Are you in partnership? We have all these disjointed programs out there. How can we get them working together if that's the case? And how do we make the public knowledgeable about what's available? They shouldn't, I appreciate the calls, but they shouldn't have to call me. And the other part of this is whether you have, besides the online presence with computers, whether you have mobile apps that will work for our constituents.
Thank you for your question, Representative Hardaway. So a couple of things. One, we do have mobile applications to our Jobs for TN system, which is really the gateway entry point for those that are looking for sponsored training from the department or job or career opportunities, whether it be apprenticeship, if it's our reentry program, adult education, we do provide services in all of those capacities. I think the shift in the department over the last couple of years is what I mentioned in my comments before about place-based services, looking how we partner more with community organizations that already have a presence and fidelity among the residents, that we can add our services there. What we've learned is that we're only going to be a part of the answer. We have to partner with those that are already on the ground and doing the work. And so our resource allocation model has been to support nonprofits and community organizations that are also doing this work. I think the biggest thing I'll share is around Tennessee Works, which is an initiative that the governor spoke about, quite frankly, and supported. And also we received support from you as well, is making sure that we can bring all of our services together around workforce and economic development under a common brand. That lessens confusion for Tennessee residents that don't know where to go and don't know what all these programs mean. Navigation and accessibility can be very difficult. So under the Tennessee Works launch, which will be hard launching here in a few months, it'll be one gateway in, whether it's a TCAT, community college, four-year institution, or our department, residents will be able to find that information and go in one entry point. And we, and as the agencies go, will have access to that. So we don't have to ask constituents questions over and over again. We can learn from each other and make for a much cohesive service delivery. So that work is underway. And several of the other agencies, Human Services, Economic Community Development, Higher Education Commission, TBR, Department of Education are all at the table and working on this together. I think it's going to make for a much better Tennessee. But we do know currently there are gaps, and so we're hoping to fill those. But we can be, Jobs for TN is still our entry system for now.
All right, Madam Chair, one last question, please.
Yes,
The
sir.
customer training that our employees get, are they prepared to deal with and we heard from the senator about the tragedies in terms of the natural disasters. Those folks are traumatized. There's a trauma that goes with financial stress. You lose your job and you're already behind on your bills and your car is about to be repoed or your house foreclosed. That financial stress can come out in a number of different ways, from domestic violence to depression and suicide, et cetera. Are our employees sensitized to that? Are they trained to recognize triggers and perhaps signs where they might even make referrals?
So our staff in the past has received training from mental health and those that are the experts in that field, but we're careful to say we are the workforce practitioners. So we do make those to referral. If we recognize symptoms, we will refer them. But for our role and specifically, we want to make sure that we don't cross that threshold of expertise. So we do have community resources. All of our American Job Centers have resource guides, have phone numbers that we can either make the referral or refer the person that is in need. But for us specifically, as Senator Crow mentioned, in natural disasters, our employment solution for a lot of those folks is to help them rebuild their communities while we subsidize their wages. So when we receive national emergency grants, they're able to take part into the rebuilding of their community, whether it's a cleanup for a business, as opposed to putting them back into other work that they may not be ready to do just yet. We keep it very tight knit into the community, and we're able to pay for them to do that type of work. It keeps it more community focused, more of a cohort model, and it doesn't necessarily take them out into some of the things that could very well be a trigger for them. But for our folks, we try to remain on the practitioner side and refer to those people that have the expertise to help them navigate those circumstances.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I got some AI questions, which would take about 5-6 hours. So I'm going to save those and invite the commissioner to a special meeting.
Yes,
Bless
sir.
her.
Thank you.
Bless her heart. She will. As a point of personal privilege, I want to do something that I don't know that's ever been done at this committee. However, I was here 2 years ago when there were findings and problems and issues. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank you, Commissioner Thomas. You have done an exemplary job. You not only show your knowledge of the issues, you show your knowledge of the solutions, and you also show your passion for the job you're doing. And I think that we could all give her a round of applause. Thank you. And I know you would be the first to say that you're not doing that in a vacuum.
That's
You
right.
have a wonderful team that you're working with, and you all have just made incredible progress. So to each of you, I thank you for what you're doing for the state of Tennessee, and more importantly, what you're doing for the people of Tennessee as they are seeking employment and as they're developing workforces. So thank you again. At this point, I could ask for a motion from the House. Excuse me, is there any public comment? Now I will receive a motion. Representative Fritz, you're recognized.
Madam Chair, I would move that regarding Department of Labor and Workforce Development, we extend 4 years to the year 2030.
We have a motion and a second for 4 years. We'll do a voice vote for the House. All in favor of the 4-year extension, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it. You now are recognized to having had a 4-year extension. Do you have any final closing comments?
I would like to thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the committee for your support. And I do have to say on record that the work of this team has been exemplary, and I am honored and humbled to lead them. But the work has really been done by the folks that are at the office. So I really just want to take the time to recognize them for their tremendous work. But thank you.
Thank you. And our next group coming up will be tourism. And no pressure. Welcome, welcome. We now will ask the Comptroller's Office to please identify yourself.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Taylor Fritz, and I'm a legislative senior auditor with the Comptroller's Office Division of State Audit. And with me is Chelsea Bell. She's also a legislative senior auditor. And with your permission, I'm here to present the results of the 2025 performance audit of the Department of Tourist Development.
All right, and as soon as you introduce yourselves, we will go back to the presentation of the audit. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Commissioner Mark Ezell, Department of Tourist Development.
Good morning. Good morning, team. Pete Rosenberg, Tennessee Department of Tourist Development.
Good morning. Kevin Mahoney, Assistant Commissioner Administration, Tennessee Department of Tourist Development.
Thank you. Comptrollers, you may proceed.
Thank you. The department is responsible for promoting and growing Tennessee's tourism assets and brand. Its goals are to increase visitation, boost visitor spending, and ultimately generate more tax revenue for state and local governments. Additionally, this department is responsible for Tennessee Welcome Center operations. We audited the department for the period of July 1st, 2022 through April 30th, 2025. Our audit areas included management's process for ensuring that grant award recipients spent funding in accordance with grant requirements, the review of applications and awarding grants from the Special Event Fund, the department's evaluation of its marketing efforts and measurement of tourism statistics, how the department ensures that all American Rescue Plan Act funds are spent by the deadline and the continuity of marketing strategy after the program ends, the department's adherence to requirements when using delegated authorities to procure goods and services, and management strategies for using the Welcome Centers to promote Tennessee. For the areas that we reviewed, our work did not result in any findings or observations. We would like to sincerely thank the commissioner and his staff for their assistance throughout the audit. They were extremely receptive and helpful and maintained a very positive attitude throughout the entire audit process.
Thank you very much. Have you completed?
Yes, we're available for questions, that's all.
Are there any questions for the Comptroller's Office? Seeing none, we will allow you to respond to the auditor's report, and congratulations preemptively, but we're welcoming your response.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On behalf of the Department of Tourist Development, we just want to say thank you to the Comptroller's Office and their team for the thorough and professional work that they did. We think is reflected in this single performance audit. I want to commend our team. We've got several in the room, really led by our Assistant Commissioner, Kevin Mahoney, who's a real blessing to our group, who engaged with the auditors throughout the process and really helped us with our commitment, with our transparency, and the excellence that really we strive to embody each day. We think the sunset audit is a critical tool of oversight. As a longtime Tennessee taxpayer, I'm glad that we have these impartial reviews that either confirm whether an agency is meeting their responsibilities. And we think that that outside perspective for our department has really been invaluable. It can affirm when we're strong, and it does assure us that we are doing what we are supposed to with our highest standards. I think what it makes clear for us, we are glad that we have had examined many of the facets of our department's work, from the grants to the marketing to the management of the special event funding, which was new for us, the use of the federal ARPA fund resources, and even the operation of our Tennessee Welcome Centers, where over 10 million people come each year. So I'm proud to share that there were no findings or observations. We think that speaks to the integrity of our processes, the dedication of our team, and the shared focus that we have. But I will also say that we want to continue to look for ways to refine our operations, and these processes help that, whether it's adopting best practices or serving Tennesseans with excellence. So we're pleased that the clean report is a recognition of what we have gotten accomplished, but we also think that it is a call for us to keep building on that momentum. So grateful for the outcome, for the process, and proud of our team, and more determined than ever to keep continuing making Tennessee a model. And for all of you, I couldn't say this couldn't close without saying, because we think winning is daily bringing in sales taxes from folks who don't live or work in Tennessee and using them for the benefit of Tennessee residents. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Chairman Crow, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. These two departments have been so impressive. Could you sponsor a bill and we could all co-sponsor it, that the next governor has to maintain these two commissioners and their staffs?
That sounds reasonable.
I think we should do that.
Okay. Representative Monty Fritz, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And what a great job to get to be the one that gets to advertise what God's blessed us with, because that's a great deal of what you do. I just
Amen,
have
sir.
3 considerations for you quickly, briefly. Our welcome centers are tremendous. Would it be worth the thought somewhere down the road, not looking for an answer, to maybe take over the rest areas on all the interstates and roads as well and do that same great job with them, so we could promote Tennessee perhaps regionally at each one of those rest areas and increase tourism and engagement in Tennessee, just as a thought. Secondly, with investment we've had with Tennessee firearms manufacturers, or them manufacturing in Tennessee, and the protections we've offered them to promote our Second Amendment rights. You know, up in Kentucky, Chevrolet uses Bowling Green as like a tour factory. And it's a big tourism thing if you like Corvettes. I don't know why you wouldn't. But is there an opportunity for us there? Because we've got some really big names in the firearms manufacturing. Is there an opportunity? And then finally, last thing, invasive species. I'm on the upper basin of the Tennessee River, and we're scared to death that the Asian carp is going to kill our bass fishing, our skiing, our water sports, and all that kind of stuff. And so, again, not try to belabor that today, but maybe we can engage some more on that the next year, because, again, those fish scare me to death. And thank you so much for all your good work.
Thank you, Mr. Representative. I will tell you that is not just a thought, but a discussion on welcome centers. And Pete Rosenberg, we're talking about 2 areas with the governor. First, there are some some welcome centers that need to be refurbished in a significant way. And then second, in that process and evaluation, both the governor's team, TDOT, and Pete's team are evaluating. We do believe there's some high volume rest areas that would make sense for us in the welcome center piece to add that marketing. And as far as the firearms and the museums, we really encourage, my background, our family business, Purity Dairies, we would tour about 10,000 people a year through the facility. We think manufacturers, it's an interesting tourist opportunity. The lodge folks have done that really impressively now in South Pittsburgh with a great new museum that they've spent $5 million on as their company museum. So those are the kinds of things we love when they charge folks, but we especially love when it gives a visitor 3 or 4 hours more to spend, because then we get closer to the overnight, and an overnight visitor is worth 3 times as much as a day visitor in sales taxes, which is what we love to do. And then lastly, the Tennessee Blueways and the Tennessee Outdoor Partnership that our team is working with as we've created the Bill Dance Signature Lakes, but also the Blueways, all those are right in line. So those are just a couple of quick comments that we believe in all of those things as being another way to grow tourism, but also to improve for the residents of Tennessee. Pete, anything else? Did I steal all your stuff?
No. Okay. Pete Rosenberg, Tennessee Department of Tourist Development. And Representative Fritz, we've had some great conversations with TDOT and internal conversations, and we've identified approximately 6 rest areas that could presumably come over through welcome centers. So again, though, but our priority would be renovating, some of these first, but we have had good conversations with that and excited about those opportunities.
Thank you all for the comments and for the presentations and for the auditor's report. And again, I want to take a personal privilege here, because Tennessee's #1 industry is agriculture. And #2 industry is tourism. And tourism is also a green industry, as I always have said, as having served on some tourism boards in my previous life. Tourism is that industry where people come to you and through you and leave their green behind. And that's the best kind of money, because you're not having to provide the same kind of education, of transportation, of anything. These people are coming with money in their pockets, ready to enhance Tennessee. And so the things that you do to make them welcome and to show them the variety of things that we have in Tennessee. Everyone thinks about music, but as you're saying, the industries, and we could go on and on about the tourism opportunities in Tennessee that are family friendly as well, and which is so important. It's growing more and more important. So thank you significantly. Thank you for the wonderful audit report, and for doing your work behind the scenes, so to speak, and out where everybody can see it extremely well. And we are grateful for that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And we have a really talented, passionate team. And they're the key, how we engage with our industry, how we engage with our partners. And I'm grateful to have this team.
And you can
Thank
have fun while you're doing it.
We try to.
It's good. It's good. Representative Hardaway, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, gentlemen. On the revenue, that's your revenue projections for tourism. How often do you revise those, especially in light of some of the uncertainty, international uncertainty? And it's my understanding from talking to folks around the country that some of that uncertainty is causing a drop in tourism for Tennessee.
Representative, that's a great question. The answer, and we have our research team here, but the answers are we do annual economic impact, and then we have several research groups that we work with, as well as the Department of Revenue. What's nice is we have those taxes in leisure and hospitality that match up and are driven by visitation as a primary piece: lodging, eating and drinking, amusements and attractions. The good news for Tennessee is we're holding steady through the first 6 months of the year. That's better than the rest of the nation, but we've been up 35% versus the national average of 16% in the last 6 years, second fastest growing state. So we know we're on the top end of that cycle. We see some softness, certainly in our hotel side, especially around occupancy rates as demand has slowed some and supply is a little bigger than it was. But we are pretty bullish. We do see Canada has certainly affected most international groups, but with Nashville's new international flights, we've actually been able to make up almost all of that on the international side. So it's good that we got such diverse assets, whether it's cultural, outdoors, music, culinary, those pieces. So it's a challenging time for travel and tourism. I just got back from Phoenix the last 3 days, and the news is it's slowing down. So how do we get our bacon off another man's hog is to really dig in with our partners and make sure that we're allowing them to do it. And the nice thing is we get a good share of voice now that allows us to take business from a lot of our neighboring states. So we're holding steady. We hope to project at least a flat year, and we're up $700 million in leisure and hospitality taxes over the last 6 years on an annual basis. So we want to hold on to that for all of us to be able to spend.
And do you have the agility to, when there's an international incident, does your team get together and devise a specific plan?
Yes, sir. We do, especially like right now, Nashville has landed with our help. And again, that those fundings with ARPA money was given to us by you and Governor Lee, and we're grateful. But that helped us land the Aer Lingus flight for Dublin, Ireland, and also the Iceland Air. Both of those, when you get a new international flight, it's worth a minimum $50 million economic impact on an annual basis. So they're really big. We're chasing some more with Nashville. We actually are chasing some with Memphis too. Let's have multiple meetings with them. So the answer is yes. We have different strategies for different countries at different times. And then we have assets that you'll hear more about. But when you got Dolly Parton, you got an advantage. Or when you got the music that we have with Elvis, some of those international names that carry allow us to go. And Deborah and her team are working on that on a monthly basis because it's ever changing internationally right now with perceptions.
All right, thank you. And Madam Chair, some of my members have come down to Memphis to enjoy the Beale Street Barbecue and Blues, Civil Rights Museum. But I want to make sure that we understand that this will be the 135th anniversary for the Orange Mound, historic Orange Mound community. That's the first planned community for Black homeowners. And of course, the homeownership then and now is the most sure way of developing wealth and generational wealth. So I'd like for you to do what you do so well and work with our historic Orange Mound community to bring it to the forefront of tourism in Tennessee.
Thank you, sir. So
Thank you, Madam
noted.
Chair.
We'll be there tomorrow.
Any public comments? Seeing none, did I hear a motion? Monty Fritz, Representative, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Regarding Department of Tourist Development, I would move that we extend by 4 years to the year 2030.
I have a motion and a second for a 4-year extension. Could we please do a voice vote in the House? All in favor of a 4-year extension for the Department of Tourism, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. The ayes have it. You have a 4-year extension. Thank you very much. This concludes the committee business. Actions by this joint subcommittee are submitted to the Government Operations Committee for deliberation and final decision prior to being placed on calendar during legislative session. Notice of future meetings will be posted in advance of scheduled meeting dates. We will be back for Rule Review Committee at 1 o'clock in House Hearing Room 3, here again. And without objection, we are adjourned.